CarTorque night. You're on CarTorque with Matty J. You'll be chilling with me for the next hour as we talk. Well, we're just going to talk cars and pretty much crap about cars, as we usually do on a Tuesday night. You just will listen if you were listening to the previous program. That was James with Man vs. Movies, which is always a good show. But he's decided to join in on my show tonight. How you going, James?
How you going? Good.
That's good. I was impressed with Guardians of the Galaxy and listening to your show.
Yeah, it was a good movie. A lot of fun.
I've got a question for you. If Baby Groot was to have a car, what car would Baby Groot drive?
Oh, it'd have to be something earthy. Wood panels.
Like a Woody wagon?
Yeah, maybe like a surfer Woody wagon.
or a combi?
Maybe. I don't know, combi, maybe like hot rod, like with the hood removed so you can see the insides.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I'm trying to think of something. I mean, I'm trying to think of the tree equivalent of a car.
Probably like an old Morris Traveller that they came with like a half metal and the back half was all made by wood.
Yeah.
So that'd be
like a hot rod version though, with like massive tires at the back.
that'd be sick.
Like the what's called the blower at the front.
Yeah. That'd actually be it'd be a lot of fun.
Groot, you know, yeah. when you hit the gas, it goes Groot.
He'll have the engine tuned by Yamaha to sound like Groot.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Well, Yamaha actually, like a lot of car companies give like co-develop their engines with Yamaha to get like the acoustics right. So like for example, Ford with the Taurus SHO and like Lexus with the LFA, they kind of worked with them. That's why those engines sound insane. So that's why they sound crazy good.
So they literally tune the cars to a specific sound.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
that's nuts.
It's a bit crazy, hey. But you know, that's I guess kind of all part of learning about the different things that people do and different companies that other companies rely on to make things. So
I mean, there'd be a lot of collaboration between different companies, not only car companies, but like you said, like companies that you wouldn't expect to cross over.
Well, one big one is at the moment in the States, Ford, Ford's like, screw GM.
Yeah.
And GM is like screw Ford. But they've kind of worked together on their latest transmission. It's like a joint venture transmission for the two biggest companies in America that kind of like...
It's like two biggest rivals.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Ford's on like an F-150 pickup truck like every 28 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So... for them to work together, because I think that transmission is going into one of the F-Series trucks. I think it's a 10-speed. It's a 10-speed automatic.
Yeah.
I guess in a way it kind of cuts costs because they're both kind of paying for it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're both benefiting of it. Benefiting. I can't speak. Benefiting off it in different ways. Yeah. So they can both run with it in the future.
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, it's collaborations like that that make you scratch your head. But it's
they're all car lovers. They all come together. That's what this show's about: bringing car lovers all together.
That's exactly what it's about.
Doesn't matter what Holden, Ford, whatever.
Prius.
Toyota.
Actually, you know what? Screw the Prius. Look, before we get started, I want to say about the day I've had today. You're gonna laugh because my brother's still getting his car fixed, so he's been using my mother's car to go to work in. And so my mum's been taking the Laser. So you guys would be saying at home, and you, James, oh, that's all right, you've got another two cars. You've got the Merc and
you got the brand new Merc.
I've got the 1989.
Yeah, 1989. Brand new.
I've got that, and I've got the F6. Anyway, it was pissing out rain, so I don't take the F6 out in the rain, which is kind of like I wouldn't say like a bitch move, but it's just like...
Isn't that car made to go in? Well, not made, but, that's what people use it for.
Well, my last few ventures in the rain with it were pretty scary.
That roundabout.
Oh, jeez.
Have we told the roundabout story?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about our crazier stories in a car later. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll take the Merc. I go to start the Merc this morning, and it's got a flat battery. I'm like, bloody hell, I just drove it the other day.
Yeah.
So I I use the other car to jump the Merc.
Yeah.
Get the Merc started. I'm like, screw, I'll just keep the leads in the car just to be safe. You know, I drive to work and I get asked to stay back. So I ended up finishing at 5:30. So I've like literally rushed here. Anyway, I got it about 22.
Yeah.
Hop in the Merc. Go to start it. It's dead again.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, you've got to be absolutely kidding me. You know, this is this is a joke. You know, so I'm going to be late for the show. Anyway, no one could jump me. There was no one around because the car park by this time is dead. So I'm like, crap, what do I do? So I called my mechanic, he wasn't far away. And he sent his apprentice, and his apprentice comes to me, he's like, oh, thanks. I'm like, well, what are you saying thanks? Well, I should be saying thanks to you. He's like, hey, you got me out to clean the workshop.
So you did someone a favour.
I did someone a favour. So we jump my car, I get home, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to risk the Merc tonight. I'm gonna hop in the laser. I took the laser here, but the Merc's been, it's been fine, yeah. But the last few times I've been driving it, the steering's feeling a bit off. So I took it to my mechanic, and we popped it up in the hoist and had a look. The steering box is just like pissing out everywhere. It's like,
oh my god,
it's like you know when like the zombie films when they shoot and they just splat everywhere.
Yeah,
it's that. So I'm going to need a new steering box.
It's too good to be true, that car.
Oh, it is. It's the joys that
it's a free car. You can't complain.
I mean, geez, if it's free, you're going to expect something to go wrong with it.
Yeah.
But having said that, mechanically, like engine-wise, it's strong as an ox. Like there's no oil leaks, there's no nothing.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Touch wood. But that's just another thing I would need to do, the steering box, which is, I guess it's not too bad. I'm just topping it up with the power steering fluid every time I'm driving it, just to keep it going. But I guess it's like one of those things, because I'm not driving the car every day as well, so it can kind of wait, maybe. It is leaving a bit of a puddle at the front of the house.
You'll be swimming.
Well, and I mean, you've got like a dad like mine. You bloody buy this car. What you get this car for? Dad didn't buy it. I don't care how you got it. So yeah,
it's free. He should be loving it. He'd love a good bargain like that.
Well, being an Arab, like Mercs are like
the holy grail.
Holy grail, yeah.
Of success.
So I said to him, I'm like, Dad, because I'm half Arab. I'm like, Dad, I'm like technically, I'm like a half Arab king. He's like, why? I'm like, this is the day I actually bought the Merc home. He's like, because I've got a Merc. He's like, oh, I'm going to say these, back in my... Then he went on about stories about Mercedes, but even Superwalk, they talk about it. What's he say? Number one best car?
Number one best. Was like the steering... What's he say? The steering wheel?
Give me back my steering wheel.
Give me back my steering wheel.
Drives like a dream. No Mercedes-Benz. AAA best car. It's so good. Look, we're going to get to a quick break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to get to a song by LDRU. It's called To Be Free. But we'll get to that right after this short break. That was LDRU with To Be Free. Good track, though. I've heard that recently. Actually, my sister got me onto that song, which is pretty good. Usually she just listens to, well, I'm not going to mention what she listens to.
The Beebs.
The Beebs. Like, she used to hate the Beebs, yeah. Like she's like, oh,
as you should.
As you do. and then recently, because like he's went through this like whole change phase.
No, he hasn't.
Dude, I kid you not, a year ago, Bieber was a joke, yeah, and now like everyone freaking loves him. It makes no sense.
He's even bigger joke now. Like he got a sleeve tat, and now he thinks he's serious.
He thinks he's hard now.
Piss off,
dude. The one thing that pissed me off, yeah, like I'm a big like MMA and boxing fan.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, yeah, undefeated, boxer, this, that, and the other. Guess who was in his corner holding his belt? When I saw this, I'm like, I'm turned off boxing. I'm turned off everything because the Bieber is in his corner. I'm like, come on, you're supposed to be like the biggest badass in the world, undefeated 50, whatever it was, and you've got Justin Bieber in your corner.
Man, rich people are crazy.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. You think he'd be crazy for that, but he never wears the same pair of underwear twice as well. Not Justin Bieber, Floyd Mayweather. So when you got that much money, you can just like
when you got that much, it's also I guess that's clean,
but
very hygienic, hygienic practice.
It's a waste of cotton. I'm sure you could wash it once.
At least it's not like lucky underwear that he always wears. Yeah. Because he's a fighter, he's probably superstitious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least it's not that. I'm sure he has something else that he has.
He's got the lucky egg like Sanka.
Sanka. Kiss me.
Kiss me. I ain't kissing the egg. Oh, it's so good. Well, so we'll get into some funny car-related stories. So, I got a couple of good ones, but a story that we were both in the car once. This is probably what I had my piece for about a year or 2
years ago.
Yeah. I had my old Camry, my old V6 Camry, which you remember. I used to love that car.
That was the best car. I'm still sad it's gone.
You're telling me I'm shattered it's gone. This year would have been up for club reg, and I could have had it on a club reg as well. But
I see similar ones driving around. I'm like, oh, we should get that car back.
It was sad. It was honestly like, I'm not gonna lie. I did tear up when I went out to say goodbye, because that car was such an integral part of my life. Because we had it for we had that car for I'd say 15, 16 years. It's a car I learned to drive in as well. It's the first car I actually legally got a car to drive. So it meant a lot to me, that car, and obviously going away, because I'm one of those people that for people a car is like a form of transport and that's it. But for me, a car is something way more.
Part of the family.
It's part of the family. It's an entity. It
has its own characteristics.
It does, and that's a good way of looking at it, because it's not exactly like a piece of furniture or an appliance. It is.
Yeah, it has its own personality, like it quirks, and because you use it so much, and
you get to know it.
Yeah, and because the car becomes an extension of your body when you're in the driver's seat. Because all your movements kind of correspond to the car's movements. That's
exactly right. Your inputs are what the car does, and like all my 3 cars, they got their own quirks in a weird sort of way. But the Camry was really different because 1, it was front wheel drive, and 2, because I used to chop a lot of Falcons and Commodores. so that was pretty fun. But it was a good car, and I dearly miss it. But it was one night. It was a pouring down. It was pissing down this one night. I picked you up. You live not too far from me, and we're going to go to see Julian and Tyrone, who had been on the show before. And we're going to Tyrone. We're going to Julian's house.
Yeah.
And I picked you up, and we're coming back to there's a roundabout near our house where there's like a 7-Eleven. Mickleham Road. No, it's Melrose and Melrose and Carrick Drive.
Carrick Drive.
Anyway, so we see this car like leaving the intersection super slow. Like leaving this roundabout like extremely slow. And I think you said something like, "Oh, geez, he's not a bit slow."
Yeah, like it was noticeably slow. Like he wasn't speeding. He probably was doing the speed limit or under the speed limit.
Yeah.
Like we remembered, like it was noticeable.
Anyway, we were we come out it. We weren't even speeding. We were just. It was actually because it was the rain. Very under the limit, and we just went into the roundabout. And as soon as I went in, we kicked out hard, like
360 spin.
It was a perfect 360 spin.
It was perfect. It was like,
yeah, and we ended up facing with a Hummer of all things. And the guy in the Hummer just put his hands up, like, "What are you doing?" And I did the same thing. and everyone's just looking at us, and we're like, "Oh crap! What the hell have we done?" So like, I've like done a 30-point turn because like I'm right in the middle of a roundabout, covering the 2 lanes. So I went up, down, like I did like a legit 30-point turn. Got out of there. You and I just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
It was the weirdest feeling because as soon as I hit the corner, I had no control.
We weren't going fast, and even with the wet, you'd had enough traction to drive everywhere else to do every other roundabout that we had to do to get there.
No issue.
This is the only one. And then it happened again, not long after.
It happened in Craigieburn as well later that night. But the weird thing about it was because it was the middle of summer, and it hadn't rained for, I kid you not, ages. And I think it was a bit of grease and stuff on the floor when the rain first hit.
I think it was because it's next to the petrol station.
As well, yeah.
So there must have been something.
The funniest bit was like coming head on with a Hummer of all things. He could have just driven over us. And he's looking at me like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't know.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, it's not real drive. I wasn't going drifting. I didn't rip the handbrake. I didn't have Macca's trays on the back. But it was the feeling that like I had was like Macca's trays. Like I had no control over the rear.
It was just slick, like feeling, like just the whole turn.
It was so smooth.
It wasn't like it was just like and it would just spun.
It just spun, yeah. And we couldn't counter, we couldn't do nothing because it just as soon as it happened, it was we were around. So people around roundabouts near petrol stations, take it easy.
Yeah. It must have been the petrol.
I don't know. Still to this day, that mystifies me. Because we were.
And it was twice in a row too.
Yeah.
Was it the same day or the same week?
Same night. Which was just and like after that, we're like, bloody hell, we'll go around slow. And we went around slow the next time. And it's still around. We got out and checked the tyres. The tyres are perfect because they just had been changed. I don't know. It was just one of those. What's his name call it in Pulp Fiction?
Like
an act of God.
Yeah.
What's he call it? Divine intervention. Divine intervention. It was a divine intervention. We didn't get run over by a Hummer. But,
that was the lucky part.
Yeah, it was one of those funny moments. But to top that, we had a better moment. Going back a few years ago, when I went to TAFE, and I had a good friend of mine. He had a Mitsubishi Evo.
Mm.
He had an Evo 9.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this was a good story. And it was the first day he brought it. We actually brought it from Sydney, and he drove it down.
Mm.
And he's like, because he was in part of my TAFE class, he's like, oh, we'll take it to lunch. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, it's an Evo.
Yeah.
So we went to lunch, and this thing blew me away. It's still to this day, I reckon it's one of the quickest things I've been in. Anyway, on the way back, well, we're taking off slow at the lights, and because we went for lunch, and coming back, and this guy in like a Mazda 323, like it was an old man, and he like took off harder than us, and I'm like, come on, bro, you just got chopped. He's like, all right, he jumped it down again, and gave it a small hit. He didn't speed or anything, but like it was a little hit, and the car was really loud exhaust. He might have been a tad over the limit.
At this point, you had crossed the border into Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah. So
it was okay.
so it was in Mexico we were over the limit, and we were legit like 200 meters from lunch to actually I'll take that back, but probably about 500 meters from when we had lunch to our TAFE, and we're turning into our TAFE street, and like I look at my mate and he just goes pale. I'm like, dude, what's wrong? He's like, I think that's a cop car behind us. We're like, oh, come on, like really? He's like, yeah. He's like, this unmarked Commodore darted across 3 lanes to get behind him into the turning lane. So we're like, oh crap. As soon as we turn the corner, like that, they turn the lights and we pull over and they're like, turn it off and get out. My mate freaks out because like his car's got a turbo timer.
Yeah.
So he's like, crap, I got to turn off the turbo. Like the turbo timers are illegal to use.
Not in Mexico, which is where you were.
Which is where we were. So we're in Mexico, but yeah, just to be on the safe side, he's like, oh, just in case anything happens, because even though we are in Mexico, we'll turn it. And the cops are like, we weren't dick storm or anything. We're just like, yeah, it was a bit stupid giving it a hit, and we'll slow it down. They're like, yeah, because this is a nice car. We're like, yeah. He's like, you want to be able to pull girls in this car? The actual cop, like, they ended up being like the nicest guys, like the top senior sergeants. And because I guess we weren't being dick storm. Like,
it's a good story because, like, most time you hear stories about the cops deliberately targeting people or, being dicks about it. But it was good. Like, you admitted you were at fault, and it's like, don't do it again.
Yeah. Well, so next time you do, we'll take the car.
Yeah.
He's like, well, to be honest, I know that's the side. I don't think we have time for this. Like, they're probably just trying to scare us, which is probably a good thing because, like, from that day on in Mexico, we didn't really give it a hit. But it was good because it was like we thought it was screwed.
Yeah.
Anyway, like we ended up having a joke with them afterwards. Like they were really nice guys. Like just slow it down. We don't want to take up the car.
Yeah.
They're like you weren't speeding crazy. You just gave it a little hit. And we're like, we'll slow it down. Anyway, we get back into the car. My mate he yells at a profanity. And he looks at me, he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, dude, we just got out of that. He's like, my mum would have killed me.
He wasn't scared of the cops.
He wasn't scared of the cops. You're always scared of your mum. That's the main thing. I think that's the one thing I took out of it. Like he's a big muscly guy in my main, and he's like he wasn't scared of the cops, but like he's like, jeez, I was scared of my mum. She would have killed me. Which is one of my favourite Evo stories.
I don't know. We didn't talk about it last week, but what about Blake's Fast and Furious moment?
Oh, gee.
We'll get him in, I guess, to talk about it.
We'll get him back in to talk about the story. But Blake from a couple of weeks ago, as you know, from a couple of episodes ago as well, he was installing his car computer.
Yeah, we talked about on the show.
Which we talked about on the show. He had it all set up, ready to go in. Legit the next day. He's on his way to uni, and
unfortunately, he wasn't in Mexico.
Yeah, unfortunately, he definitely wasn't in Mexico.
And he decided to put his foot down.
And he ends up flipping his car. Now,
onto the roof, like not an exaggeration. He flipped his car.
He flipped his car. Legit, the night, like after the radio show we have every Tuesday night, we go out for a feed. Just
pumps for the boys.
Pumps for the boys. Pumps for the boys. We get pizzas for the boys. We get babs for the boys. This time we got pizzas for the boys. Anyway, he was telling us like he's really developed his driving skills and how good he was in Mexico. Anyway, basically the next day,
like the night before, he was like telling us how like hard he would go.
Yeah, how good of a driver he is.
Next minute,
legit next minute, he's on his roof. Moral of the story is, slow it the hell down.
Yeah,
and just take it easy because like
even if you think you're on like a semi-isolated road, that you're not going to get in trouble.
You just don't know.
Yeah,
and Like I don't know the flick end of the story. James knows it because he was following the car. He actually saw it happen. James is like, he's dead.
Other James.
Yeah, other James. Luckily no one was injured, and luckily his passenger was fine as well.
Oh, he had a passenger.
Yeah, he had a passenger. And,
no one was hurt, luckily.
Yeah, luckily he was fine. But yeah, just slow it down because it can happen to the best of us, even as confident as we can be. But after getting me to talk about that story, because that's yeah. Anyway, well, I don't know the full extent of the story. He would have had to have been flying a little bit.
That was before we saw Fast and Furious. But that was definitely his Fast and Furious. Moment.
Well, yeah, I think James even put in the Snapchat.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's a bit keen to see Fast and Furious. Anyway, what can we do? That's one less story off the road. Anyway, what can you do? But
drive safe, everyone.
Drive safe, people. Drive safe. But look, I've had tons of funny stories. But possibly the best story for me is like, oh jeez, it'll be a bit of a hard one. A couple of times when I put up to like grass and stuff at the centre lights, we roll it down and when it's full of light, we always say, "What's the retail on one of those?" And he'll be like, "Well, you could afford Astra." SRI. So it's the little moments that make like driving and stuff fun. But probably my most earliest moment of like cars and in general like. Driving was when I was probably like, let's say three or four, and my dad had come home in his bright green Holden Gemini. He had a bright green Holden Gemini. It was a TD, I think it was. Really. I think this thing was beat. Like it was hammered, but it was our car. Anyway, he'd come home and I'd rush out the door, and because he'd have to drive into the garage, and I'd sit on his lap. And he'd be holding the steering, but I'd be like pretending I'm doing it, and I'd drive it in, and to this day, this is probably still my fondest car moment. So
that's what started it all.
That's what kind of started it all. Well, Mum reckons, the vacuum cleaner started it all because it made engine noise. She'd say to me like, I can't remember the one, but she's like, you wouldn't like, you shouldn't try to vacuum the house to be sitting in the vacuum. Going. And when she'd be done with that, I'd be just like, trying to roll around on the vacuum. but that's where the love love cars comes in. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's a passion.
Primal like feeling.
It is like everyone's got that kind of things they like. I guess for me it was just cars, which is Well, it could have been drugs, it could have been alcohol.
Well, yeah, it's good that it wasn't.
Yeah. Well,
I guess different types of addiction. Yeah, like
big time. Yeah, this addiction is going to be what, 3 cars, numerous insurance bills. But yeah, look, we've got to go to a quick break.
I guess it's positive addiction.
It is a positive addiction. It's a fun addiction. We're going to go to another song. We're going to go to a song by Dina Army, and this song is called Waiting for You. We'll be right back after this. We're back on 98.9 Northwest FM. This is CarTorque with Matty J. During the break, we'll discuss some of the stories that we've had. But when it comes to mine, back in 2006, my dad bought a brand new car. He bought his Territory.
Mm.
He bought a Gear, so it was a top of the range one. Anyway, we to christen it, I guess you could say. We went to Coffs Harbour and Grafton and to see Morello's up there, which is about 1,800 k's. So we drove it up there, and it's a beachy kind of place. So my uncles and my grandfather were like, we'll go fishing, we'll take the 4-wheel drives,
Yeah, perfect for the Territory.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not really a off-road.
Well, that's what we thought. So anyway, we get to Mini-Water, and then there's like a 4-wheel drive track to get onto the beach, and you can just drive. It's like miles of just driving. Anyway, so we're following my grandfather had a Hilux, and my uncle had a Hilux as well. So we're following them in, and there's a sign that say for real 4-wheel drives only. And I'm like to Dad, this isn't a real 4-wheel drive. This is just like it's just,
they even warned you.
Yeah. And he's like, well, should I park? I'm like, no, you'll be right. He's like, yeah, we're going too far. I'm like, we've still got time and space to turn around. No, that's all right. Anyway, so we go over, and it's like a trail for about 500 meters, and there's another sign that's like last chance to turn back, real 4-wheel drives only. And I don't even think my dad noticed the bloody sign. So I'm like, Dad. He's like, what? He's like, by this time he's frustrated. He's like, what? So I'm like, don't worry. I know what's going to happen. The car's going to get stuck, but I'm going to just sit back and enjoy it. So we've went down this like narrow as path, and it's like comes like it's like almost like a vertical straight down bit.
Yeah.
Onto the sand, and it's really soft sand. So you have to keep going to get through the soft sand onto like hard sand, so you can drive across. Anyway, so we followed my uncle and my grandfather, and they got through. And Dad like caned the Territory, and he got through as well. I'm like, oh God! But I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are we going to get back up this? This is going to be a nightmare to get back up. Anyway, so we stay on the hard sand, and which is close to the water, because it's otherwise the soft sand the car just sinks. So we're driving on there, and we get to a spot about a couple of k's away, and we bring up the fishing rods and put up the tent, and just have the afternoon there. Anyway, so before the tide comes in, we're like, oh, we better get going. So as we're driving back, the hard sand that was so much of it before is really, really small now because the tide's going back in. So we've had to like venture onto the soft sand, but we've had to keep going. And there was like a little dune, and my dad didn't see it. So, and we've hit it at like 70 or 80 k's per hour,
Jeez.
And we've like launched in the air, and we've come down that hard that my dad's water bottle just pissed everywhere. He's like, "Wow!" And he started screaming, and yelling. So, but instead of like just maintaining it, he's like come to a stop, and then we've like, "Why did you stop?" He's like, "Oh crap!" And the car is just went into the.
This car's white as well, so it's just showing sand that is sand coloured at this point.
Well, yeah, it's become like a beached whale. Anyway, it's beached as. Anyway, so the wheels are spinning, and we're like, oh God, here we go. So my grandfather's like, oh, sorry, I've got a winch, I'll get us out. So he puts on the winch and he's winching us out. But while he's winching us out, his car's going in and he's sinking. So now he's stuck. So we've tried to help him, and now we've got both cars stuck. By this time, my uncle had to leave earlier because he had to go back with his wife for whatever reason. We had no reception. We're like, crap. We're trying to dig out the car, and we're trying to dig out the car's plural. Anyway, by this time, my uncle was like ventured back because we've been stuck in one spot for like almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "I thought I'd come back. You guys must have got stuck." So he started to pull both our cars out. My dad's like screaming and yelling. He's like, oh, "I've just bloody spent $70,000 this and the other." He's gone off his chops. I kid you not, the amount of sand that went in the car this day, just from walking in and out of it. Today, there's still sand in there. Like it got everywhere.
It's like 10 years ago.
It's like 10 years ago. Like we spent like hours cleaning it, and we still today finding sand in. Like you're like, oh, from that time. Anyway, we end up having we put the pressures on the tires really low to get more of a footprint. We eventually get out, and my uncle's like, "Why the hell would you do this?" He's like, "You took my headspace now, guys." He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't want to hear it." Long story short, he never took his car off-roading or onto a gravel road even again. He's like, "No." He's like, "SUVs are the most pointless cars in the world. I hate it." So that was our territory four-wheel driving adventure. I was reading Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
They had a definition of like all different cars, and they had the Ford Territory. It was like Ford Territory goes off-road, pisses itself, hence marking its territory. It was kind of fitting for that moment, which was got us pretty stuck. You had a story you were going to tell as well.
Oh, it's not so much a story. It's just I'd like to give a shout out to the spider who lives in my passenger side rear view mirror.
What's going on?
Because every morning he spins a web over the left passenger side mirror, and I have to, obviously get rid of it.
Yeah.
I've sprayed it with a hose. I've put the hose in the where the engine meets the mirror there. With the is it the A-frame?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've stuck the hose in there. He's still there. I don't know how he survives.
Dude, he must be hiding in a different spot.
But it's I don't know how I don't know much about spiders, but it's surely he's not, unless he's down in the door somewhere. But then my car floods on the left side, so he should be dead anyway. I don't get it.
This is true though. Your car's got a hole, and it just
we can't figure out where.
We can't figure out where. The passenger side this is a range, just fills with water.
Yeah. So I don't get it. He spins a new fresh web every morning. So I'll take away the new web, wipe it off because I can't see the bloody review otherwise, and I'll wake up and it's there again. It's like he's doing it. I've just accepted him at this point.
He's part of the car now. He's one of those things. It's one of your car's quirks.
Yeah, exactly.
You should give him a name.
Mirror, review, mirror, spider. I don't know, that wasn't very creative.
That was terrible. Oh, jeez. Well, it's normally at this point we do the car quiz.
Yeah.
But seeing as you're not.
What if we do a quiz where we don't count the score and I just fumble through? Because honestly, I will not even get one.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Look, I'll keep it for next week because we had some guests wanting to come on the show tonight, but they had to cancel. So that quiz was for them. But we'll move on to HSV, which is Holden Special Vehicles, which is with the Commodore coming to an end this year.
Yeah.
They've kind of put something out really, really special, and I've kind of touched on this in the quiz and in a few little spots. But this car is fantastic. This is the last hurrah for Aussie Muscle. Yeah. So whether you're a Ford,
the FPV is already finished. Yeah.
They finished a few years ago.
So this is the last of the Aussie Muscle cars.
Aussie hardcore muscle cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is it pretty much, and I think they're tying up operations in October. So they've got 300 HSV GTS-R W1. So they've got the GTS-R range, but then the W1 just goes ham. It's insane. For those of you who don't know what a W1 is or a GTS-R, originally the GTS-R nameplate was on a VS Commodore back in the late 90s, or mid to late 90s, I should say. And it was like a piss yellow car. Had a massive rear wing and a few other like little touches that in no way was beneficial, but it looked kind of cool for back then. They're worth a lot of money these days because they're kind of like a rare model. But back then, if you bought one of those, they'd actually HSV would fly you in from wherever you were in the country, and you could pick it up from the HSV dealership or the HSV factory in Melbourne. So that
drive it out.
And drive it out, which is pretty cool. You get to meet the engineers and stuff, which I don't think they've done with the latest one, but they've got 300 W1s. So W1 is pretty much it's a GTS-R, so it's basically a really modified HSV GTS, but instead of having the LSA engine, which is what their GTS had, it's got the LS9 engine. So you'd be like, okay, well, I've probably heard of the LS9. It's an older engine. It is an older engine, but this is the engine that came in the ZR1 Corvette back in late 2000s, 2010, 2011-ish. So it's a really rare engine. These engines alone cost 30 grand. So because the ZR1 and the LS9's been out of production for probably coming up to 5-6 years now, HSV actually went, this is no word of a lie, they went to General Motors and they scavenged they managed to find 300 engines like all over different,
just lying around.
Just lying around all over the factories in America. They found 300 of them, brought them back, and installed them in this car.
Wow, right.
So they had to
So there's only 300 cars because they could only find that many.
Pretty much.
That's like the rarest thing I can think of.
Well, so for the people in America who have got LS9 powered ZR1s, if you blow one up, good luck flying one. Because HSV's kind of taken them all, which is pretty cool. But alone they cost 30 grand.
Yeah.
So you got to be imagining, okay, well, considering a GTS HSV is over 100 grand, you're going to be like, this is going to be a lot more money than that. So, but this car, it's just not only like a big engine upgrade and stuff. This car's got pretty much racing shocks from Shockworks. It's got like bigger, massive AP racing brakes. Tons of other bits and bobs. It is the real deal, and they from recent testing and Motor Magazine and all those all the big names in automotive journalism here in Oz have tested it, and they reckon this is the ultimate Aussie muscle car. This is the best muscle car. This is the GTHO Phase 3 of our time.
Well, it better be for the last hurrah.
Yeah, well, it better be for 170 grand. So that's a lot of money. But believe me, they sold out before they even went for sale. Because word gets around that there was something special. The same thing with the XR8 and XR6 Sprints. Word gets around and people just put deposits like, I don't care what it is, just do it. So I've seen a lot of negative comments on Facebook. I don't really care about social media. I'm not a big social media fan. But like they said, who'd spent 170 grand on a Commodore? You have to be stupid.
The last of one of 300. Like it's like any collector's a dream.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you put it in that aspect, the last FPV, the GTF, was like it was 75 grand, was about close to 80 out the door. They're already going for 150 grand, 120, 150 grand, and they're climbing, and they only made I think it was 500 of them. So yeah, they only made 500 of those. So the GTS-R W1 is even rarer than that.
Yeah.
But it's just a complete overhaul of what the Commodore is. It is like the ultimate. It's like ultimate version cell of
Super Saiyan version of
Super Saiyan level, whatever it is you got to Goku. But this is like the ultimate form of the GTS-R W of the Commodore, and it's me being a Ford fan, people say, well, how can you like a Holden car? This car is just insane. It's, you know, credit where credit's due.
Exactly.
It is legit a race car. You can like track it straight away, and you know it is made for the track. It's got tires on this car. Yeah, it's got Pirelli. I forgot the name of the exact tires it's got on there, but it's got a certain semi-slick tires. This is the only car in the world that it comes on factory. It is an option on cars like I think it was like Koenigsegg's or something like some other like high end like supercars or you know even hypercars. That it's an option on. It's not even factory. This is factory on these cars. So, you know, I did my lid to HSV. They've really you know nailed it with the final Aussie Muscle cars.
Yeah.
And you know, to me, I believe that this probably will be our version, like you know, for our generation, James, of the GTS or of the GTHO Phase 3, which was like the ultimate Aussie Muscle car of the 70s. And
is that before they got neutered?
Well, yeah, that was the last car before they kind of got neutered. Yeah. So it was basically Ford were going to bring in the
before there were rules.
Yeah, pretty much before they stepped in and were like, hang on a minute. But yeah, this is like the last car. Funny story that Ford were going to bring out the Phase 4, and I think they made 4 of them, and there was like 100. It was like a big. It was called the supercar scare, which is pretty famous. So we should really bring that up.
I think we talked about it once.
We might have touched on it, but yeah, pretty much the government said if you keep building these fast cars, we're not gonna get our fleet cars off you. Yeah. That's a lot of money. So they're like, yeah, we'll screw our operations in performance and racing, but Holden kind of continued it to like their last model, and like credit to Ford, they did as well with the Sprints, even though they weren't as like upgraded as we'll say the HSV is.
Yeah.
But I'd love to drive one, and I'd love to be in one, and I'd love to see one in person. And so I reckon this is our generation's.
Yeah. Just to see one would be a rare sight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 300 made. It's not a lot. So, and people, if you've got one, drive them. Don't make them a complete garage queen.
If you got enough money, buy 2. Put one in the garage and drive the other one.
Exactly right. No, honestly, like it's a car, and you know, like cars need to be driven.
Yeah.
And they, you know, you see these cars.
Unless you got a showroom, what's the point of keeping it in a garage? No one's gonna see it.
No one's gonna appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you know, take it out, enjoy it. It's what it's made for. So.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you wouldn't use it as a daily drive.
No, definitely not. I wouldn't advise that because your petrol would be going through. Your petrol bills for the month would be quadrupled. But just enjoy it and don't give them a garage queen, even though some people do. And like, don't even they're worth money, but you're spending $170,000 in some cases.
You got the money.
In some cases, more. Enjoy it. We're going to get to our last break of the night. We're going to go to a song by Super Cruel. It's called November. It features Lisa Mitchell, and it's an Aussie. She's an Aussie artist. I'm not a fan of Lisa Mitchell. She's kind of not my style, but in this song she really does well, and you know, kind of picks up the pieces of her previous music. So I'll play that right after this. Back on 98.9 Northwest FM, this is CarTorque with Matty J. We are just about out of time on another Tuesday night. Stay tuned though. We've got more. Tuesday night's always a night to be on listening to community radio 98.9 Northwest FM. We've got Biohacker coming up later. But for next week as well, we've got James' show as per usual. Give it a quick plug, James.
Man vs. Movies every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Yep, and you've got your Facebook page. Give us Facebook page a like.
Man vs. Movies, that's Man vs. Movies. Like and share our Facebook page, or you can go directly to our Shout Engine page and download the old podcast episodes, movie reviews, and just generally me yelling ranting about things I like and don't like about movies. So,
which is good. It's always good. It's pretty much what we do here on CarTorque, which is just talk crap about cars. Tune in next week for right after James' show at 7 p.m. This is for CarTorque with Matty J. It's Car TORQUE, pun intended. With Matty J. Check our Facebook page, the same spelling, and we've got links to our Shout Engine page. We're also on iTunes now, so if you prefer iTunes, you can download the podcast off iTunes, which is quite good as well. Thursday night, obviously, is a Thursday with the Thursday waffle with Fitzy and Dr. Rock, which is always a good laugh. They always tell dad knock jokes and stuff, so it's always a good bit of listening. And Monday night free show at 6 p.m. the Monday night.
For your pleasure.
For your pleasure, that's it. So that's always good listening too. So keep it locked here on 98.9 Northwest FM. Don't change that dial.
Or if you don't like what you're hearing, tune out and then tune back in later. Because there's the good thing about community radio is there's so many different types of programs. It's not just one thing all day. That's
exactly right. I mean, look at us. We've got a movie show, a car show. There's
I mean, always tune in Tuesday night.
That's the one that you have to tune.
And then you can tune. I'll allow you to tune out for a couple days, and then Thursday for
the Dr. Rock show.
Yeah, and then
But yeah, definitely keep it locked here on 98.9 Northwest. And there's so many shows. There's shows for every genre. There's shows for every community, like Indian community, Arabic communities, and there's tons of. That's just two of the many communities that they're listening to. But there's also great other shows. They're all community based and even comedy based. So keep it locked here on 98.9 Northwest FM. Anyway, this has been CarTorque with Matty J. I will see you guys same time next week. Thanks again, James, for coming in.
No, thank you very much for having me.
I think we'll go for babs for the boys.
Oh, yeah, I'm a bit hungry for some kebabs.
Kebabs or
HSPs.
HSP, snack packs for the boys. I like snack packs for the boys. Anyway, this has been CarTorque with Matty J. I'll see you same time next week, 7 p.m. Take it easy.